what did you learn most of all from this series about your team?
I think we learned that we've got a lot of character. I think we showed a lot of fight and a lot of resilience. To win the way we did, having lost both tosses and had to do it the hard way, so to speak. I think we saw a lot of character out there. Obviously, Ruti played beautifully. And to score the runs he did was obviously helped us a lot. And I thought his captaincy was excellent. The way he moved his bowls around, the way he used his spinners, the field he placed. And we've learned that the game plan that we've got can work here as well.
Root's performances were obviously outstanding. Any concern, though, that you're over-reliant on his runs at all as you head to India?
Not really, to be honest, because this sort of happens, really. People sort of come and going out of form. He's in form at the moment, and long may that continue, but you'll find that other people come into form as well, and they will start scoring runs. So it's just the way it works. As
you head to India, there's a shuffling of the pack. Some people have questioned this selection policy. Why you're heading to India with a different team when you've just prepared in Sri Lanka. Do you stand by that, though? You feel that's the best way forward, even though some of the guys have been at the IPL?
Yeah, I do. I stand by it. We've got to look after our people. We're spending a lot of time locked in hotel rooms, inside bicycle bubbles, and it's not easy. And I think it's good that we're proactive in looking after our people. Yeah.
But the argument that perhaps they should rest during the IPL, you don't stand by that. You don't agree with that?
I'm perfectly happy with the system that we're using at the moment.
And you'll have Rory Burns coming back, Ben Stokes and Jofra Archer. How do you plan to move those guys in? Will they definitely play the first test? Is there a plan?
Well, obviously we'll get there, we'll get on the training field and we'll just make sure that everybody's in a good place, and then we'll reintegrate them in. And if they're fit, they're ready, and they're looking good, then they will be available for selection, yes.
Would it seem the most obvious thing to bring Burns in to open and drop Jack Crawley down, given Johnny Bairstow's going home?
Yeah, there's quite a few sort of ways we could look at it. So, Joe, myself, and obviously Ed are talking of various different ways of doing things. The great thing for me is that we've got options at the top of the order, so it puts us in a strong position. Does that? But yeah, clearly that would be one way of doing things.
And just how big a challenge is India in India, and how big a step up is it from what you faced in Sri Lanka?
Oh, listen, we're going there with our eyes open. We know it's going to be a very tough challenge. We know India are an excellent team, and we respect that, especially in their own conditions. But I think it's an exciting challenge at that as well. I think we are in a good place. We're constantly growing. I think we can go out there and I think we can win. And obviously, so do the players and everybody that's here. But we completely respect how tough and how big a challenge it is that's in front of us. But I think we can clear it.
Is it the biggest challenge, or one of the biggest challenges in Test cricket? It seems to be harder for England teams to win there than even Australia.
Well, I think it is a very tough challenge, but as I said, it's great for the team as well. I think we'll continue learning when we're out there. Pitching ourselves against, arguably one of the best teams in the world, it's a great place to be, and it's a start of 9 Test matches against them before we actually go to Australia as well. So I think it'll be a great experience for us, and it'll harden us as a team.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. Okay,
we'll go with Emily and then Stefan.
Emily here. Sorry about that.
Oh, Rory.
Sorry, I've had to come straight off a maths class. Chris, on Joss, we've asked you lots of times in the past about him, and you and Joe have obviously been always full of faith for him. He's been in decent form with the bat now for quite a while, but do you feel like these 2 Test matches have answered a different question and showed that he actually has it in him to be a really elite level wicketkeeper in his own right, because he did a really good job in conditions that are seen as some of the hardest going?
I think you're right. He did do a very good job. But Joe and myself have always showed faith in him as a keeper as well. Hence the reason why he was number 1 to do it. We made that decision sort of very early on, and obviously the last time before we went home, we decided he was going to keep Ben as well. So I think he did brilliantly. We all know what a fine batsman he is, and he showed that again yesterday. with some of those shots he was playing against the spinners. But I think you're right, he kept beautifully and hardly put a foot wrong.
And with Ben likely to come in for that second test at least, do you feel like his presence has raised the bar a little bit and helped Joss along?
I think we've all helped each other. I mean, one of the things that obviously travelling with the bigger squads and living where we have to at the moment is that all the guys are working together. So I mean, you've got Joss and Ben working closely together there. Bracey going in with doing the keeping drills all the time. So I think we're sharing information all the time. We're getting used to each other and helping each other along. I mean, they learn just as much off each other as they do the coaches. So I think, I mean, that is one advantage of living where we do. But they work brilliantly together.
Cheers, thank you.
Okay, we'll go Stefan and then John.
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Steph.
I know you just touched on the rotation of the squad there. And those of us who are close to the game, we know the reasons that players go off and play in the IPL. We know the benefits of that. But there'll be some England fans who are maybe a bit confused and perhaps even disappointed that some players can play 2 lots of IPL in 6 months and then be rested for test matches. What would you say to those England supporters who feel that way?
What can you say? I mean, we've decided that we're going to rest and rotate the players as we are. We've decided that we need to look after the players, and I do believe in being proactive with looking after players rather than waiting until there's a problem. So, I mean, I would just say, ask them to try and understand why we do what we do. And it is, when we're resting people for the best interest of that player and equally to get the best out of them long term.
And from your point of view, you want to get results. You're the coach. You want to get results for England. Is there a part of you that thinks, I really wish they were with me all the time and not playing in those franchise games, that they were resting then rather than now?
Well, it's not the world we live in at the moment, is it, that they can't be with me all the time? And as I said, I'm perfectly happy and at peace with us being proactive about looking after our players and factoring in breaks as we have done now and working with them.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, John and then Paul.
So I was actually going to ask about the sort of rotation policy. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion, particularly on TV, about Johnny Bairstow. Obviously come back, played 2 test matches the first time in more than a year, and now he's going to miss 2. Would you expect him to come straight back into the side for the 3rd and 4th tests in India?
Well, he'll come back into the group, won't he? And then the rest of it will be up for selection, really. There's we don't make any guarantees to anybody. I don't think you can, because you don't know where you're going to be at that given point in time. But I do think it is right that he has a rest. Johnny is obviously very busy. He's a multi-format player, and we've got to look after him and give him a little bit of time to chill out a little bit.
How much time actually would he have at home, do you think? Because that's a week quarantine anyway, back in India.
Yeah, a couple of weeks at home he's got.
How do you think he played in Sri Lanka?
I think he did well, to be honest. I mean, Johnny's asked me the same question, and I said to him he did very well. I think he went in some difficult periods of the game and applied himself very well on what were testing wickets. So I was pleased with him.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Paul.
Hi, Chris. I was just going to ask about your start as head coach. That's 4 successive series wins now out of 5, and it was only the first one, the short series against New Zealand you lost. How are you enjoying it? How do you think it's going? And that must be very satisfying that you're winning home and away. It
is. I mean, listen, it's brilliant. I'm not going to lie, I'm loving every minute of it, to be honest. It's a dream job. But the most pleasing thing for me is seeing the plan grow that we put in place. And we made no secrets that we wanted big first innings runs, and we wanted to be relentless with the bowling. And that's exactly what we've done. We are going past 400 sort of more regularly now, and then you see the way that we bowl, we try and control the rate and control the game. And again, we've showed that it works over here, because that's the one thing that, the seamers have been outstanding. There's a lot of talk about spin, but the seamers have been outstanding in this series as well. And it's, for me, the most pleasing thing is seeing the plan come into place and seeing the guys have success with that. And seeing the guys go out there and enjoy themselves and win. It makes me very happy watching them be successful.
And how about yourself? when I spoke to you in Colombo briefly in March, you said you wanted to be a better international coach than you were player. That was one of your aims. Do you think you're showing that already?
I'll probably argue I've already done that. But no, it's I do. I mean, I've got obviously a driving passion to do the best that I can be at this job and help people if I can. And it's as I said, it is a real privilege and an honour to sort of sit where I am at the moment. And as I said, to see the guys doing so well is fantastic. But I mean, there's a lot of great support around me as well. I've got a great support staff, great coaches around me, and we've got a great bunch of players. So it makes coming to being at work a real pleasure.
Sorry, just quickly, how is Jack Callis, and would you like to see him again in the setup?
Yeah, he's been brilliant. You know what I mean? He's legend of the game, and he's come in and he's helped the players. He's spent a lot of time speaking one-to-one with them. He's got in the nets and got his hands dirty in there. You know what I mean? Helping out and just talking, throwing cricket balls, and just being very accessible. And I think he's fitted into the group beautifully. And I know everybody from the senior players all around to the junior players have all had 5 minutes to chat with him. So I think he's had real value for us. And yeah, I mean, I'd love to see him come over and help us again.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go Nick and Dean.
Hi, Chris. Just wondering what you've seen different in Joe Root's batting. What's he doing differently this year to last year when he perhaps wasn't as, didn't score as many runs?
Yeah, I think he's moving well. His balance is beautiful. He's getting great positions, and he seems really happy with himself. You know, I mean, and why wouldn't he be? The way he batted, it was an absolute masterclass for anybody watching. I mean, not only for our batsmen, our younger batsmen sat in the dressing room, but I think anybody at home as well, aspiring to be a batsman. The way that he went about building his innings was absolutely superb. So, I mean, he's worked hard and he deserves the success.
And do you think it's the kind of, you talked earlier about the plan and the method of the way you want the team to play Test cricket. Do you think that's really bringing the best out of Joe now?
Well, I hope it's helping. You know, I mean, it's a joint idea of the way that we're going to play the Test cricket. He's really championing that and he's leading it from the front. You know, I mean, he does that on and off the field. He leads the guys very, very, very well. And yeah, he's been top class.
Cheers, thanks.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Dean.
Yeah, hi, Chris. Well done out there. I just wondered whether you thought the performances of James Anderson and Stuart Broad confirmed that getting them to dovetail, particularly away from home, is the way forward, or did their performances suggest that you could play both of them in the first test against India?
Well, I mean, it's great just to have the options, isn't it, really? But, I mean, you are absolutely spot on. I think the way the two of them bowled was fantastic. Again, they showed everybody their class and how good they are. But equally, you know, I mean, both of them led the bowling attack superb. You know, and you ask somebody to take control of the game for you, and those two do it. You know, especially when it comes to controlling the rate, controlling the game. But again, within the sort of young seniors group that we've got here, those two have been, I mean, inspirational, really, in talking to them about cricket, talking to them about how we apply the game plan, but not only that, going out and showing them as well. So, I mean, it's a real privilege to have both of them around. And from a coach's point of view, I'm in a lucky position where I've got options where I could do either or of what you suggested there.
And how close is Ollie Pope to being ready? Could he play in that first test?
I'm hoping, but I better throw his hat in the ring for that first test. I'm hoping that he'll be there.
I'm guessing you'd be quite excited to add him to your group.
Absolutely. I mean, yes is the answer to that. In short, yes. The sooner we can sort of get him back fit, fighting, and obviously throw his hat in the ring for that place, the better. Really, because we know he's a fine player.
And just a final thought for me. I know you've been asked about rest and rotation and those sorts of things. If I could offer you a guaranteed 2 successes this year of all the challenges that you've got, which 2 would you take?
Sorry, say that again, then.
If I could offer you 2 successes, you know, an India tour, an India home test series, a World T20 World Cup, and Ashes, which 2 would you take? What are your 2 main goals this year? Dictating how you're going about things.
We want to win everything. To be honest, I don't really want to say I want this one or this one, but we're going to go into every series, every competition, trying to win it and trying to improve constantly. So I don't really want to pick anything out. Everyone is just as important as the next.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, mate.
Okay, nice. Let's finish with George and Ali.
Good day, Chris.
Hi.
Given how well the Seamers did in Sri Lanka, do you have any sort of hard and firm selection issues going into the India series? I mean, or do you have it in the back of your mind that you're probably going to play two spinners? Or moving on from that, are the protocols around Moeen and his recovery? Does that mean he's going to be available for the first test?
Yeah, I mean, if we start with Moeen, then he should be available for the first test. I mean, he's sort of been through everything he needs to go through. He's progressing nicely. From a selection point of view, obviously we'll have to look at the wicket when we get there, but history may suggest that you'd be looking at two spinners. And then we're just going to have a look how the rest of the bowling attack will look beyond that. Obviously, if you've got Ben back in there, you've got choices you can make. The seamers at the other end, and just how we want the attack to look. Whether you want, who you're going to use as pace, and so on and so forth.
From what you just,
we've got some good options available to us.
From what you've just said there, you were talking about the history. Quite a few England coaches who have gone before you have been tempted to go the seam route, haven't they? Who sort of backed England's traditional strength. And I can't think of an example of it working in India. Is that something that you've looked at?
Well, it's a very good point. No, so I mean, I'm open-minded. I'm obviously very open to ideas all the time. And we look at the stats, we look at, what has been successful at that ground before, and we'll take a lead from it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And last one, Ali.
Just one from me. I was just going to ask whether there was anything to sort of exploit from India coming off the back of obviously that quite historic series in Australia. I'm just wondering if there's possibly an opportunity there, given that they'll be coming off such a high, but also probably pretty exhausted as well after all those efforts to get that series win.
I mean, one thing it has shown me is that we're going to be a difficult team to beat, really, which is it's a great challenge for us. Do I think we can beat them? Yes. I always take the positive side of things. I think we can beat them, but we know it's going to be a hard-fought contest. And if we come out on top of this one, then it puts the confidence again will go through the roof for us. But as I said earlier, I respect the fact that they are a fine side and we've got some really good players. And we're going to have to be at the top of our game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone.